Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome you everybody logging in from all around Europe at Taftie expert session for artificial intelligence, robotics, and humanity versus humanity. I will be first introducing the session that we are having ahead. We will be talking today, we will be listening today, and we will be sharing best practices. Before we start, I will also introduce our talented artist and scribbler, Silvia Matisová, who will be today with us, mapping the mind of all of the speakers, all of us. She will be creating some artistic expression over here for what we will be talking. And without any further talking, let me introduce Mr. Artur Bobovnický, who is Director of Innovation of Slovak Innovation and Energy Agency, as well as Executive Secretary of Taftie. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask first a few questions. What happens when machine learning, computer programs that absorb new information and then change the way how they are using and make decisions by this information, leads to investment losses, biased hiring or lending, or car accidents? Should businesses allow their smart products and services to autonomously evolve, or should they lock their algorithms and periodically update them? And then when and how often those updates happen? And how should companies evaluate and mitigate the risk posed by those and other questions? Across the business world, as machine learning, artificial intelligence based, permits more and more offerings and processes, executives and boards must be prepared to answer such questions. And as well the governments and agencies that are supporting businesses and feeding various funds and enormous funds into new technologies development. For example, European Commission is recently looking for a project in so-called important project of common European interest in microelectronics, and they are looking for going beyond more and achieving more. At the same time, European Commission is working and recently launched the first regulation on AI. Our event this afternoon will focus on these aspects like law, ethics, regulation, support, and control. We have compiled very attractive keynote speakers and panelists from around Europe, and we hope you will enjoy and stay with us this afternoon until the end of the event. Let me now introduce the keynote speaker, Azim Ajar. He is an award-winning entrepreneur, analyst, strategist, investor. He produces Exponential View, the leading newsletter and podcast on the impact of technology on our future economy and society. Azim is also an influencer and writer with passion for all these things technological. Currently, he is also senior advisor in artificial intelligence to the Chief Technology Officer of Accenture, a member of the World Economic Forum's Global Future Council. His work has been profiled in The Economist, Financial Times, The New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, and MIT Technology Review, and many others probably. Azim is on a mission to explain how our societies and ways of life will change under the force of exponential technologies. He is determined to bring together the two cultures of innovation and tech, and of businesses, society, and policy, and help us understand the real implication of the changes we are witnessing at this moment. He does this from the vantage point of a 25 years career in the tech industry. Azim, I am sure you do agree with me that intro is not as much important as your thoughts you are prepared to share. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think it was very inspiring. As you said, please, everybody who is with us today, look at Azim's web, Twitter, follow him, check out his books. We will definitely do it as well. Thank you very much for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
Good to have you. And we will continue today with the panel, which many of us are looking forward to. We are connecting with four panelists. Actually, one of them, Mr. František Duchoň, professor at Slovak University of Technology, as well as representative of National Center of Robotics, is here with me. So thank you very much for coming in. And we will be connecting with Olga Afanassieva, COO at Goodai, an advisor at Keen Software House. Hello, Olga.
Hello.
Hello, good to hear you. We see you. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for logging in. Mark Aronas, who is AI Boost Lithuania project lead for policy and private sector, as well as a FinTech LT project manager at Agency of Science, Innovation and Technology. Hello, Mark.
Hi, everyone.
Good to have you. Thank you for logging. We hear you and see you. I'm just checking that everything is set. And from Prague, Mr. Ondřej Ferdus, who is director of the Digital Economy and Technology Unit at Confederation of Industry of the Czech Republic and co-founder of AI Czech. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. You maybe the microphone may get a little bit louder over there, so we can hear you better. Anyway, thank you very much all to coming in. We will be talking, we have about an hour and a half, more or less, to discuss about a couple of items. And I'm going to just break it down a little bit. We will be checking on what you guys are doing, what are the innovations from each and every corner of the Europe that we are connecting with you. Secondly, we will look into the trends and development, innovation that we have in AI and robotics. We will be certainly looking how those innovations are influencing humanity and how they are going to be doing it. Recently, we had an introduction in the European Union of some new regulations that will be upcoming, first ever actually in the world. So we will probably discuss as well this topic. And at the end, we will look somehow further into the outlook of what we are anticipating for the future. As we have quite a lot of people with us today, although we cannot see them, but we definitely feel them, we would like to invite you to log into Slido. It's slido.com. It's an application where you can post your questions. When you log in, you will see that there is a password which needs to be filled in, and that is hashtag AI vs humanity. So AI vs humanity. Once you write that down, you will be allowed to give some questions. We will be talking and we will be getting them over here and trying to find answers for them. So let's start here with Mr. Duchoň. Please tell us what is your role as a professor at the university, as well as the representative of National Center of Robotics, what you are doing here, and how the AI is actually part of your job.
Okay, thank you again. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here, and I would like to thank you for the invitation first. I will tell you maybe more about me and National Center of Robotics. So, as you said, I'm professor at Slovak University of Technology, the largest technical university in Slovakia, and I am responsible for our National Center of Robotics. It is a research center focused more on industrial robotics, mobile robotics, service robotics. And of course, AI is directly connected with robotics. We are using the AI. We are not the developers of the AI, but AI is a very powerful tool for us. So that's the why, of course, we must use it. What more about this Center of Robotics? We are cooperating our research with private companies in Slovakia. We have a lot of international projects and so on. So I think that we will say the details in the presentation.
Yes, Mr. Duchoň will have a presentation after the panel where he will be talking exactly about how private companies are very crucial in cooperation with universities and how this is working in Slovakia. Now let's go to Olga Afanassieva. Please, Olga, let us know how AI is influencing your company, your sector, and where you're coming from with that.
Right. So thanks everyone for the invite. So yeah, my name is Olga. I'm Chief Operating Officer at a company called Goodai, which is headquartered in Prague. And our company's mission is to develop general artificial intelligence to help humanity and understand the universe. So no more, no less. And basically, we are not a typical AI company or what one might imagine under AI startup, but we are basically privately funded research endeavor. So our founder, Marek Rosa, he's a successful video games developer. He comes from Slovakia. He built a company, Keen Software House, here in the Czech Republic, which became very successful with video games focused on creativity of players and building stuff, something like Lego in space. So that's basically where he's coming from. And with the success that he built in the video games industry, he was able to realize his dream and basically start building Goodai. And he's financing it himself. So we are a research company. So that's a little different. And basically our goal is to develop, as I said, a human level intelligence or general intelligence, general artificial intelligence. And this is something that currently, current AI has certain limitations. It might be very good for a specific purpose it was designed for by humans, but it really cannot do much apart from what it was specifically designed for, and much apart from what kind of data it was trained for. And what we are trying to do is to develop algorithms which learn in a similar manner as humans, so not crunching lots of data and basically being some sort of fancy statistics, if I may, but algorithms which accumulate the knowledge gradually, are able to become effective learners over time by learning the right learning heuristics. So, if you can compare it roughly to how a human mind develops, you start with some sort of predefined prerequisites when you're born as a baby, and then these prerequisites allow you to effectively learn as a human, and this actually makes you a very efficient learner. You can become a scientist, you can become a doctor, you can become a politician, you can become an artist, and you can also like change and snowball the stuff as you go, as you live. So this is like a vision for AI that we have, and this type of AI should be an assistant to human or some kind of augmentation of human mind. And yeah, we guess it is inevitable. So sooner or later, someone's gonna develop very advanced AI, and we believe that it's important that we make sure that it is beneficial. So
could you also elaborate about how far you are in the development?
Yeah, well, probably not as far as we would like to be. We don't have human level intelligence yet. Yeah, so well, if I can kind of outline what kind of problems we're interested in, research problems. So one of the things, for example, is so-called lifelong learning. So this is basically where we want the type of algorithm which is able to keep learning in a continual manner, as opposed to what we're doing with current machine learning at the moment, right? We take an algorithm, we train it on lots of data, and then basically it's able to perform on similar data, distinguish images, for example, or make some sort of analysis on data. But that's that, right? So if you have an image recognition algorithm, you cannot teach it to play chess. If you have a chess playing algorithm, you cannot teach it to recognize images or produce text or translate speech to text and vice versa, and all these different examples that we have today of AI. But we want a kind of AI that can actually learn gradually and in a lifelong manner, eventually to solve all these types of problems that we throw at it. And at the moment, we are basically at the stage of algorithm development, and we're not, in our group, we're not working with huge amounts of data. We're working with toy data, with toy environments. So for us, it's more now like focus is the design of the right algorithms, and the experiments are not done on customer data or any like company data. It's more like toy environments that researchers use. So
I understand.
gives a little bit of
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. We will definitely get into the challenges. I think this will be a largest chunk of our discussion. Let's go to Lithuania and Arūnas, Mark, AI Boost Lithuania project lead. Tell us what you are doing in your company.
I will actually join in group with a first speaker because I will also have a presentation later where I will go deeper in what we actually do as a project in the Agency of Science, Innovation and Technology. But to just make it short, we since our inception last year, just before the COVID crisis, we strived to become a bridge in the AI ecosystem in Lithuania and to actually identify what we have. And it turns out that we have quite a lot and quite interesting things. So I will share with them later on.
Perfect. And could you be a little bit more specific, like how rich is the environment in Lithuania? I can imagine how it is in Slovakia. It's kind of growing, definitely more than it was maybe a couple of years. It's becoming quite a fashionable thing as well. But how it is in Lithuania?
I guess it's absolutely the same as everywhere else. A few years ago, we didn't know anything about AI in Lithuania. We had one of the first AI strategies in our country, but didn't have a clue what's actually going on the ground. It turns out we have over 50 of global level companies which already create successful products and sell them and are implementing them all around the world. Some of them are actually leaders in their respective sectors. And what we are most proud of is we have overcome the number of over 100 startups in AI per year.
That sounds promising, yes.
Yeah, so somehow young people, and not always young, got really interested in this topic. And as we have quite strong background in IT sector, one of the fastest internet connection in the world, so it probably helps young people to play with data and try to build something which can think of itself.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to hear about the challenges and what is in there in Baltics. And let's go to Prague to Mr. Ferduš, Confederation of Industry of the Czech Republic. What you are doing in Czech Republic? How far is Czech Republic with AI? Recently, actually, I read a short article with you, actually, written for Euractiv, that you were saying that yes, Czech Republic wants to be a leader, but there needs to be kind of a boost from the government as well. So, how do you see it at the moment?
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I'm not in Prague right now. I'm in Brno, which is the second biggest city and much better than Prague. And yeah, I will get to that. So yeah, as you said, I'm working as a director of the digital economy and technology unit at the Confederation. The Confederation is a leading business lobbying organization in Czech Republic. It has more than 100 years, so it's even a bit older than the first Czechoslovak Republic. And our main goal is to promote the conditions in which business sector in the Czech Republic can flourish. So we're very active in the regulation part on the national level and also on the European level. And I also work as a CEO and a co-founder of a AI company called AI Czech, which was founded very recently, earlier this year, and its focus is on custom research and development of AI. And our aim is to use AI to enhance business processes of our clients. And big part of our mission is to educate and explain the possibilities and benefits of AI and digitalization itself. And before that, I dealt with digital economy for a few years at the office of the government. So my background is not only artificial intelligence. I focus on all areas of the digital economy: cybersecurity, IoT, Industry 4.0, data protection, telco, anything together with my team. And this is actually great because, as you mentioned, there is a proposal from the European Commission, and I think it's very important to look at the proposals because they are interlinked, different proposals, different regulation. and we couldn't focus just on one area of the regulation. One example for all was a copyright directive, which has a direct impact on the field of artificial intelligence. And now to the situation in Czech Republic, which you were asking, regarding the artificial intelligence, we as a confederation, we established the first platform for AI in the Czech Republic in the beginning of 2018. Which I'm coordinating, and then we connected more than 70 entities from among companies, academics, but also state administration. We organized seminars for officials to explain with the help of our AI experts what AI is, so they could make better decisions in negotiations on the possible regulation. And we were part of the team who created the Czech national strategy for AI. I think we were a bit, we had it a bit later than Aruna's, but we have it. And we also did some mapping of Czech companies which are dealing with AI. And I can say that there are more than 100 companies dealing with the basic research of AI in Czech Republic, and hundreds of companies dealing with with the application of AI. So that
seems like a rich environment. Yes, thank you very much for presenting this. We will get into a little bit more details of how it looks in Czech Republic and what are the challenges, what are the regulations, and where we can actually grow, all of us. So as I said, let's start this debate with some kind of outlook for what we currently have in our hands. Olga already said that many companies are working with data. Azim was talking about how much we depend on quality data, because as good data are, that good the outputs are. So when there is a development, we see there is quite a rich, even in the CE countries, in Baltics, and here in V4 countries, there are many attempts of creating AI. How successful they are, and what are the main trends really in development, Mr. Duchoň?
Oh, very
many, yes.
Very nice question, and I think it is very hard to answer it, but I will take it from the other hand. Me as a professor at the university, I can see that young people are using AI almost everywhere. Mm-hmm. They are trying to use it maybe in the places that it is not good to use it there. And I think we are more dependent at this moment, maybe not on the data, but on the mathematics and on the models. Because if something has a model, I don't need an AI. Mm-hmm. If I don't have a model or it is a complicated system, or it has a lot of inputs or outputs, then the AI is a very powerful tool. Let's mm-hmm. use AI there. For example, if you are searching for the path, shortest path from place A to place B, you don't need to use AI. We have a very nice mathematical model to search the path. But if you try to recognize orange from the apple, then it is very hard to find mathematical model. Mm-hmm. So that there is a place for the AI application. So that's my fight. I am not fighting against AI, but I am fighting that please don't use it everywhere. It has
or maybe don't talk about it everywhere, because I also when there are many discussions and many people seem to talk about automation mm-hmm. While they're talking about AI and vice versa. So there is probably a clear distinction.
Yes, right? We must distinguish the places where it is effective mm-hmm. to use it. And that's my point.
So let's stick to the AI part. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking really about pure, like serious AI, okay. How far are companies able to get around those times? Because as you were saying, yes, there is this exponential mm-hmm. growth, but where we are now today, are we really as powerful as many may think?
I can only repeat the sentences that were already said, that AI is very good at one problem. If AI is playing very good chess, it can't ride the vehicle, mm-hmm. and vice versa. So this is it. That's our current state of the art. So I hope there are very nice companies developing general AI, and we will wait for their results.
And here in Slovakia, do we have some companies or startups or researchers that are maybe somewhere further than probably their AI is not just doing one thing, but maybe extending capacity?
I know some developers of AI, but I can see that I am in the robotics sector, of course, and we are mostly the users of AI. For example, there are nice applications of beam picking. I will tell you more about in my presentation. There is one nice startup company called Photoneo, maybe you know it, and they are now on 3 continents. So it's a Slovakian company that is working in US, in China, and so on. And they are using AI in their robotic applications. Beam picking means that you are taking some non-oriented parts from the beams by the robot. Usually you are comparing the product or some part with the model. However, if you are picking some toothpaste or some parts that don't have model, you can use these mathematics to compare it where is the part inside of the beam. So that's the place for the AI. So this is a very nice application for the robotics. So I can see that, yes, of course, if there is no model, then use AI. So that's my message for the world.
Okay, thank you. That sounds quite interesting. Olga, you were saying that, yes, the company, you are really a practitioner, you are in it, you are using certain data and trying to get much further, but you were mentioning that there are challenges that smaller or startups, smaller companies or startups are facing. So what do you see maybe in a European market, as we are here with Taftie experts, that might be some of the main challenges for the developers?
It's a good question. It's a broad question, and I think for everyone it would mean something slightly different. So I would try to address it from like our point of view of researchers. And you know, we are a mission-driven company. So for us, like the way we see pursuit for general AI, and basically the way we see it is that it's the ultimate tool that humanity might one day and should one day develop, that will augment our intelligence and basically enable humanity to make a next step in evolution. And currently we are facing a number of problems that we are not able to solve, let's say probably even in the course of a few generations, you know, or, you know, in order to develop a scientist, you know, decades have to pass, right, before a person is able to, you know, to start solving some problems. So at the same time, you know, every day we lose, you know, we lose lives to diseases we cannot cure. We lose time. We could have time during which we could have prevented some irreversible changes in climate, for example, etc. And then there are other, let's say, potential maybe geopolitical challenges, political challenges that, you know, we might not, maybe tomorrow will be too late, or there are different scenarios. So I guess like this type of endeavor where we could have a tool that could help us accelerate our research, innovation, our ability to solve problems. You know, if we could have that tool sooner rather than later, that would be awesome. And we would love to see some sort of like a worldwide endeavor, or something like an international space station. You know, progress is made with collaboration of different partners, actively together push it forward. And we, from the, you know, the small steps that we can do, we started a community effort that we basically issued our Goodai grants program. So, you know, I mentioned that we have a few like main questions, research questions that we are addressing, like lifelong learning of AI system, ability of AI system to learn how to learn, you know, to bootstrap its own learning, ability of the AI system to invent its own goals to a certain degree. So, you know, in order to solve a complicated problem, you should be able to yourself break it down, right? And set sub goals, right? So we want an AI which will be able to creatively address problems. And we created our own Goodai grants program, where we basically give out grant money to projects that apply to us and that present in their proposal that they're addressing some of the issues that we are solving inside our team, but we also want the community to kind of actively join. So we created this incentive. Actually, it works out really nicely. So it's unfolding really nicely. I think the first we started speaking about this initiative, we announced it a year ago, and now we already have, if I'm not mistaken, 9 grants accepted. We haven't put them all yet on our website, but if you're curious, you can find already there. There is a grant we gave to people from MIT and other prestigious universities from around the world, Czech Technical University. Then there is also UCL in London. There is NYU in New York. There's a few groups from Japan. So we're trying to actually like start up this sort of worldwide endeavor, and at the same time we believe that of course we have a research roadmap. We might be wrong, maybe ours is not the best, but ours is, let's say, to our current knowledge and to our ability to assess, we decided that that's what we're going to pursue. So we thought that we also could give some sort of direction and invite people who believe that this is the right direction or they're working on similar problems to join this, and and all together we could kind of fill out the missing pieces or put the pieces together. So I think this is like from perspective of basic research of AI, pushing it to the level of International Space Station or other collaborative projects like CERN, where a lot of people collaborate towards a joint mission. That's what I think we need. And there are also implications on policy and safety coming from that, because eventually this race for advanced AI that we kind of see unfolding in the world is sort of a winner takes all dynamics, right? So if someone is first to develop a really, really powerful AI, then for others it might be eventually impossible to catch up, because then this exponential speed of development of that one winner, of the race would be just too quick to catch up. But if we work together as a collective, it's also like from the perspective of politics, let's say, right? It's a sort of mitigation strategy. So we're all in this together, and we can all eventually benefit from what is developed collectively. Because eventually what we want is an AI that benefits humanity and not just selected group or selected few. So that's
you actually started a topic which I wanted to address as well, and it's the safety and perhaps some kind of regulation of an AI. Do you think that if we start to look at how to appropriately approach the development of AI, or maybe create really some regulations of its applicability instead of the technology, will this be helpful to researchers like you, or is it going to constrain you in any way?
Well, to keep the answer short, I say the regulation is useful. Of course, the regulation is useful and it's necessary, because we already see how AI is influencing our lives a lot, right? So it's apparent that it cannot just be let loose, and then we'll see what happens. So if the regulation is meaningful, then it can only help, So I guess in terms of basic research, it's probably not that practical sometimes to think of specific regulation, right? But so like what we do, right? We develop algorithms, we don't really apply them yet. But in terms of different AIs which are all around, it's apparent that, and also if some of the participants of this event had a chance to have a look at this European Commission regulation proposal, there is apparent that in certain areas where there is a high risk of influencing either human safety or human health or human agency, autonomy, democracy, there we need to have very careful regulation, or we need it, definitely we need it, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much for explaining that as well. I don't ask Mike. Let's go to Baltics, and I am interested in challenges for the Baltic countries. Like I assume it may be very similar to what Olga explained over here, but maybe there are some specifics over there when it comes to development of AI.
I would probably say that the challenges for the AI developers are, well, specifically the same everywhere in the world. Well, there are a few countries which has a lot of data and allows themselves to do whatever they want to do, but we're not going in that direction, apparently. So the biggest constraints for those developers who are not developing the AGI, for which I really applaud Goodai, is the data. And when I speak about the data, it's data which would be trustable and clean and wouldn't interfere with data protection rights of a person. So the stage of opening up our data, the data which we can all use for our own better goods, such as health information and so on, is very low all across Europe. And well, some countries have better developments, but in total, it's still lagging behind very strongly, even though we have a plethora of data already present. And well, we have funny anecdotes from our own country. A few years back, one of the I would say now leading startups in the world on image recognition in medicine, it's Occipit, started developing their algorithm, which finds, I think it's around 80 different cancer and other sickness stages from the lung radio photography. Well, when they started it, they needed the radiology photographs and without data about the people, but with anamnesis, with a description of what it is there actually to train the actual algorithm. And it was it was an anecdotal experience which is still ongoing. I mean, it's a really hard thing to get because we still don't have proper mechanisms to, well, let go of our own data, if we will. And it is actually some of the researchers, even in our country, and I've heard that not once in like Sherpa platform in European Union, for example, the proposal is to let people decide on their own which data they are comfortable to let go for research, for development, and so on. So if you are asking about the biggest challenge currently, I think it's data. And when speaking about European policy, I always emphasize that, well, it's nice to speak about the safeguards which we need to put in place for different areas of AI. Even thinking about the future, which probably will not come in like 50 years until we see the first fully functioning AGI, and then it will create a Skynet and take over the planet. But for now, we are stuck with very defined algorithms, which usually make one or two functions and show really good results in doing something, but very specific something. So it's quite easy to regulate it, and it's quite hard not to over-regulate it. We have to find balance here. And well, yeah, it's a lot of issues here, but I think that it's quite crucial to understand, and I'm going going backwards to Azim's presentation at the beginning. While the technology, data, and our computing power is growing exponentially, we will see that even more with quantum computing coming in. IBM promised us 1,000 qubits for the next year. No, 2023. So it's quite soon, and we will see a very different. We already see computer chips with neural networks inside them, which have much bigger capabilities to actually develop and train AI algorithms just at home without the use of cloud networks and so on. But the biggest problem, the biggest adversary for any computer-based system now and in the nearest future is a human being. it's a human who collects data, sources out, supervises or works with unsupervised learning algorithms, and double checks it. And if we have issues like discriminatory data and so on, and discriminating algorithms, it is all the problem of not doing our homework, or it is a problem of our own bad intentions. And how to regulate that, I think it's a question we won't be able to answer today.
Not today, definitely. But you open another subject, which is definitely a transparency. And do you think, maybe that's a slightly philosophical question, but do you think that there is a possibility to create a transparent AI that we would really understand, or regulators or anybody who would want to get some data, some new information out of it, or some actual usage, that will be able to get into that black box and understand transparently what is behind it?
Very philosophical question. Honestly, I have no idea, because it's really a science fiction question and, at the moment, and we are very far from it, and I don't think we will see something like that in our lifetimes. And sometimes during a debate in policy level, for example, I stress that we really shouldn't put so much our own intelligence efforts now into solving such PVMP problems, which are impossible to solve.
We can let it on AI. They will solve it.
And I also wanted to reflect on what Olga said about those global issues and problems which AI could solve. The most popular of them are the 6 remaining PVMP problems, polynomial versus non-polynomial. So one was solved by a human being, thank God, and 6 still remaining, and we probably will not solve them until we have probably general AI, because it doesn't even depend on our computing power capabilities. It depends on creativity, which we hit some kind of a limit and we cannot overcome it. We have still lacking understanding of quantum physics and how all the other dimensions work. So when we will connect that to the promise of AGI in the future, well, that will be a very different world.
Definitely, and it seems that many questions will be solved by AI. Ondrej, to Brno now going. Again, the question very similar. I'm interested in trends, and I'm interested in challenges while we are trying to fulfill and sit on that trends.
Okay, well, I would definitely start with the challenges or obstacles we are facing now. And since AI is something I think we need to approach more globally, I see 4 main challenges from the EU perspective, because we're part of EU, and EU is a part of the global race of the AI supremacy. So the first one, as already was said by Arunas, are data. But I look at it from another point of view. We don't use enough data. A large amount of data in Europe remains unused. The surveys show that up to 85% of data are not used in Europe, while in North America, they use more than 57% of the data. So this, of course, is the basis of everything, because AI is data-driven and works with data. So data, then it's ignorance, because there is still a lack of sufficient understanding of what AI is and where it can be used. And I mean this in the more general population. Therefore, it's necessary to pay a lot of attention to education and show those examples of possible uses, because people usually, they don't even know that they're approached by AI 10 times per first hour they get up, they look at the forecast, weather forecast or whatever, and they don't know that they're working with AI. They still think that AI is the blue hat with the neural network inside of it. Then the third one is distrust of people and also companies, because it was already mentioned, the non-transparency of AI. in more advanced AI systems. I mean, in the basic systems, we can say how the decision was made, but in the more advanced, which act as the black boxes, we enter the data, we get the result, but we don't really know how AI came to this result. So there are a lot of concerns about abuse, manipulation, discrimination, replacement of people in the labor market. I think we will be talking about it a bit more, etc. And the fourth one, it's definitely the regulation, because the balance between regulation and the ability of AI to develop is very important. In the EU, we saw, as you said, the first draft regulation on the table in the world, but we see we are trying to regulate risks before they arise. But for example, in the USA, they regulate only after something happens, so they regulate ex post. European Commission took this ex ante approach, and I think, it's my personal opinion, I think this may lead to loss of competitiveness of the EU and can create large obstacle for AI in the European Union. And what can happen is that our companies, our great scientists, which we definitely have in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Lithuania, Latvia, everywhere around Europe, will go somewhere where it won't be that challenging for them. And this is something Ms. Afanasieva said that in the basic research, at least as I understood it, the regulation isn't that much of a problem, but it can be very dangerous also for the basic research. And we saw it with the text and data mining within the copyright directive, because there was a big debate in the European Union and within the European Council about if even researchers have to can use the text and data mining. And now we're implementing the directive on the national levels. And in Czech Republic, we have the proposal for about 4 days now, and we see that that our ministry is trying to put a duty for the researcher to inform the rights holder that his text is used for text and data mining. You're AI researchers, you're AI experts, this would mean millions and millions of pages of just the quotations they want to quote, and they were trying to put the need to inform the right holder about that. And this is something which is practically impossible. And so this could be very harmful even for the researchers at the universities and not for the companies themselves, so for the basic research. So that's about it. I'm sorry, I wasn't very positive.
No, you were constructive, let's say. But you're saying, and I think we all can agree that banning is not the way. Also, European Union in its proposal is not trying to really ban any technology. It is trying rather to ban a certain usage of AI. But do you think that there are usages of AI that we should definitely already look at something that we should ban?
Definitely, yeah. But I'm not sure. I mean, we're still in the process of analyzing the proposal, and basically we are for setting up some kind of rules. But there are a lot of rules we already have as a European Union, as a citizens of the European Union. We have our code of behavior. There won't be any social scoring systems there, and such misuses of AI, which we can see in some part of the world. They are already banned in the European Union because we have our our laws and everything on the European level, on the national level. So
that's exactly the question, because already I think 3 countries in the EU are using AI in streets and on facial recognition, for instance. So there are discrepancies,
but there's still even the draft regulation is counting with that the military purposes aren't within the
UN
regulation.
This, exactly.
So they're they don't use it as a social scoring system as is used in some parts of Asia. they're using it for defense or whatever, to make people more secure, whatever. It's for bigger debate, but it's not used in the way as it's used in Asia, which is more harmful. This is, let's say, they can argue that it's for greater good, for the safety of the citizens, which is, the public safety is one of the keys of the European values we have.
Mm-hmm. So regulation, but not to, and I think this is coming a lot, that, okay, regulate, but let's not constrain any innovation in here. And this is, I think, the key.
Let's look at the high risk. Let's go sector through sector. Look at what's really high risk. Let's have the debate among experts from academia, from businesses, and let's talk about it. Look at it, and really we have to come up with we have to even ask. Because we are still asking the question, how risky is the usage of AI and new technologies? But we should be also asking how risky is not to use these technologies. And I think Ms. Afanasieva already said that human lives could be saved, etc. Every hour we are not using it. So although these debates at all levels have been going on for years, we were practically at the beginning of the legislative process. So the Commission presented the proposal last week, and now we will have more concrete discussions, and it will be also up to us as businesses, as academia, to make a regulation that does not bring an end to AI development in the EU. But I'm not against the regulation, but it has to be, it has to really put Europe into the race of AI supremacy, not to kill it in the beginning.
Thank you. Mr. Duchon, if you want to react on what was said on regulation. Before you said, just to remind all the viewers that we have here that we are still welcoming questions at slido.com. If you go there with the hashtag AI vs humanity, you will log in and you will be able to give questions to our panelists. So maybe if you have some reactions to that, and we will also move to more of a humanistic part of usage of AI.
I have one short comment. I think we can't blame any technology how it is used. We are the users, we are the developers, so it's still humans, how they are using it, how they are developing it. For example, all of us have a cell phone with us, and if it is used somewhere in Middle East for the bomb attack, then it's not the guilty of the cell phone, it's guilty of the user of the cell phone. So that's the same with AI for me. Of course, researchers and developers I think most of us are responsible, but you can see it also in robotics. We have the three famous laws from Isaac Asimov, and one of them is saying that robot cannot hurt the human, but there are UAVs, drones, so-called drones, that are killing the people. So it's about the humans and how we use it. So that's my short comment for the technology.
And it's also a bridge to our part on human aspects of AI and robotics. We do have questions, and I'm going to go right into them so we can continue also over there. Did you experience focused support by agencies or your governments in development of applications and solutions driven or supported by AI? If maybe in Slovakia, if you experience that.
Yes, the experience in Slovakia is very bad for supporting any research and development, so that's my answer.
Is it good or great?
Not very good, because we don't have a very specific systems for the support of research and development. So it's general for any.
What would you welcome? What would you expect?
I think I will welcome more systematic work about the course, about the topics, because it happens sometimes that we are 3 years waiting if the project is supported or not. And you know that when you are developing technologies, 3 years waiting, it's too long.
Especially in such a dynamic environment.
Yeah. In Europe, you know exactly. In April, you have a call. In June, you have the results. In September, you are starting to implement, for example, in robotics.
Okay. maybe from other countries, similar question, the experience with INO agencies, their support, and if there is not enough, what would you welcome? I think Olga already painted some picture. You are supporting others as well, but what maybe you would expect as a startup?
Well, I would love to see, you know, the agencies joining, chipping in, so it can become basically a more kind of like massive endeavor, you know, the pursuit for really advanced AI. And I think this is a huge opportunity, and especially, you know, if there's been said that Europe is not really at the forefront of AI at the moment, one might argue, then, you know, there's an opportunity. So definitely, I would vote with both hands for like more funds going into basic research, into AI, definitely.
Yeah, it seems that with many plans, or recovery plans, this is also probably going to happen. Let's go to Arūnas in Lithuania. Is there an experience? Well,
coming
you are
from the innovation agency
yes,
myself.
Exactly. So
yeah. So
what maybe? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was wondering, like, what are the kind of requirements that you are seeing the most, and where you are chipping in?
Well, we do try to chip in as much as possible. We have quite a few programs in Lithuania which helps chips in into the research and to the development of AI. Basically, our own project, we consult startups, so the very young startups on the very first basic steps in developing their AI products or solutions. But we, of course, even though we come from, I'm representing an innovation agency myself, I am a very strong supporter of our developer startups and researchers, and I would really love to see it grow, the support and the chipping in grow exponentially, because, well, it is one of the most promising sectors in the whole world. We are in a big race, as Andrej and Olga both well said.
Yes, and because Mr. Duchon also said, and I hear it a lot, that really what is the disadvantage of the EU is kind of a bureaucratic, slow process when it comes to such imperative element of technology development. So are you... No, correct me, please.
Slovak Republic, not the European Union.
But it goes also at the European level in many countries. I don't know. Maybe you can.
The question is really valid. At some point, I think we all can agree that it is slow. But during the years, and I had a career in Brussels myself for a while as a policy analyst and so on, and I do see why it is that slow, because it works. I mean, if we look at our proposed AI regulation, everyone was afraid last year, at least our developers and researchers were, when the first white paper on the artificial intelligence came into light. Everyone was really scared because there was nothing specific in it, and it looked very gloomy, like we won't allow anything because everything will be wrong. But what it did, it opened up a very strong discussion. Commission did have a very, very wide consultations on this. We had a lot of responses from companies all around Europe. And well, it brings us to the second stage. We have now the renewed coordinated plan for artificial intelligence. We have a proposal for legislation, and it's not so bad already. So we are doing progress, and it will take at least another 2 years until it will come to light as a approved legislation, because this is how Brussels work. And then another 2 years for implementations within the member states. So if, you know, realistically speaking, we won't see our legislation until 2025. So this allows us and all the developers and researchers to actually prepare for the new rules, for the new game, let's say, and it allows us also, the next 2 years allows us to react to the proposed regulation and also chip in from our side to say that,
exactly,
guys, this is not going well. We are we are overdoing it.
Yes, very good points, and exactly as you're saying. And now all the other side also can chip in, and the discussion is actually ongoing. Andre, if you have you are in a specific position, because I wonder how the innovation agencies or inno agencies are working in Czech Republic with the Confederation of Industry. Whether you have an experience or whether you are definitely in the community, so you are hearing how is the cooperation going on, and what is missing?
Yeah, definitely. Well, there are two sides. I see one on the European level, as the pandemic helped a lot, because we saw that AI and new technologies helped a lot during the pandemic. So I think there is a New Horizon program and others, and there will be more emphasis on promotion of new technologies and AI. So there is this one, and the ecosystem in Czech Republic, I believe, is still creating still, but we have very strong innovation agencies. We have a technology agency which has a lot of programs during the year for small, medium-sized companies to promote AI. But I believe the importance is not only on I believe Czech Republic expenditure on research increased over the years, and is still increasing, and our mission as a Confederation of Industry is to make sure that it does, because we know how important it is. But regarding AI, I think we should now focus also on the digital transformation of the companies, because it will to implement the AI to make sure that it's used. And we're not speaking about the general AI, but more about the fancy statistics, as Ms. Afanasieva called it. Which, if with your permission, I will use this phrase because I really like it. I believe we're a bit beyond fancy statistics, but I like the phrase a lot. And this will create an impact also for the basic research, and the cooperation between academia and the companies, which is crucial for the research side. So I believe we should concentrate on this. But as far as Czech Republic goes, I believe we're very strong innovation centers, and actually it was one of the first things we did when we created AI Czech in the beginning of the year. We started to cooperate with our regional innovation center, and we're proud members of their program.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. If any of you maybe have some good practice from other countries that we haven't mentioned, or where you're not from, maybe you can say, any of you. I would be curious if there is any. Go ahead.
Maybe as just one more short comment. I was also working as a reviewer of Brussels project in Horizon 2020, and I can see it's a very effective way, as I said before. So let's say that if Slovak Republic can take the good practice from it to our country, it will be very, very good for us, good for the researcher. And now the Horizon Europe is coming, a new work program. And it seems that for one project, the main part in the past, it was 70 pages of the project. And it seems that for the Horizon Europe, it will be only 45 pages. And, yeah, it's very nice for me. And but if you can check the proposals from in Slovak Republic, there are hundreds of pages. And I think it's good that Brussels is thinking in this way, that if you have a good idea, you can express it in few pages. Not just putting all the bureaucratic stuff in the project. Just put your idea, tell us what is excellent on it, how it will impact, how you will implement. That's a very clear way how to write a good project.
If anyone has anything to add, go ahead. But we can definitely move into that ethical part, which is also a very strong element of today's discussion. And I was wondering, when I was preparing for this session, is that whether there's even a possibility to create an ethical AI, and what would be elements of that creation? What would developer what does developer have to look at when developing such ethical AI? Yeah,
okay.
You will be my
because I'm not the developer of AI, so it will be hard to answer. I am the developer of robotic systems, so I will try to connect it to the robotics. Of course, we have some laws, we have some rules, and we have some standards that we must to fulfill. So there are some borders that cannot be bypassed. So in robotics, it's at this moment, I think, more easier. Because the standards are already there. In AI, they are coming, but it's always technology is the first and the regulation is after it. You know?
And are they going to be, do you think that they will be quite compatible with robotics, or what would be maybe distinctions?
First, we must distinguish what is AI and what is robotics.
Yes, thank you.
So AI is software, is a very nice tool, and there are a lot of types of AI, not only data-driven. So it is good to say it here, I think. And robotics, it has a physical touch. So that's a basic difference between AI and robotics. And what was the question?
When it comes to development, what would be the elements of this ethical?
It's always about the humans. So humans are developing the technologies, humans are developing the regulation. And if we say that, okay, this is not good for the humanity and we must stop that, okay, so these are the rules. For example, in the past, there was or still is a problematics of autonomous cars.
Yes, that's famous.
And in the US, the guys checked or prepared 30 questions for 14, maybe 14 or 12. I don't know the exact number, but there were the questions that they were asking. That yes, there is a small child on the left, there is a grandma on the right, and the car must choose who will be killed because there is a situation of that, and the car must choose. However, the Germany said that no, we will not program the cars for the choosing grandmas or children. So they said that the regulation or the programming that car cannot be prepared for such situation. So it must be like a human-like behavior, that the decision will come in the situation, not be pre-programmed. So it's very difficult to answer these questions.
But do you agree with that?
I agree with the German,
with
the German type of thinking about it. Because I understand what the US scientists come with this. Usually, of course, when you take grandma and children, it is very hard to say it loudly, but of course you will choose grandma because you would like to save your young life. However, I think this is very hard discussion
absolutely.
So this is very, very hard ethical questions. And I think the scientists in the US can't solve this problem. That's the why they were asking the public what they are thinking about it. And but I'm not sure whether this is a very good way how to solve the ethical problems.
So maybe for the others, what would be the correct way? Like, is this democratical approach, let's say, the correct way? Because eventually we will end up with some kind of preset distinctions, and we are ending up with AIs that are distinguishing and preferring, I don't know, white man over a black woman, because this is how maybe society would decide. So are there, besides these elements, any other aspects or elements of creating an ethical and human AI? I don't know. I see Andre, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it was already said today, and AI is just a tool. It's not ethical or unethical. It's not good or bad. It's the way we make it. And of course, when we work with the data that has a bias in them, AI will take it over. But it's not the fault of the AI, but of the people who produced such data. And that's something what already Aruna said, that we need high quality data, and it's the basis. And we need to make sure we're working with high quality data without biases. Because if HR specialists discriminate against minorities or certain gender, and AI learns from their work, we should be looking for mistakes in those specialists than in those who trust and imitate them. We can, like, if you compare it to cars, the car is a great helper when it's used properly, when it's used as it should. It transports us from place A to place B quickly, safely. But of course, when it's used incorrectly, for example, by a drunk driver, or the driver acts in affect or anger, it causes damage. And if this happens, and the damage to health or life or material damage is caused, then we do not blame the car brand. The driver is the one who is responsible. The one who uses the tool. And similarly for AI, it is necessary to determine who is responsible in case of misuse. And this is something we need to have the debate, and it has to be said.
So tell us what do you think? Like, is the developer the one to keep the responsibility? Because we kind of always end up with that dilemma, right? Like, who is the responsible? And then we all agree that yes, we have to have a discussion. So let's. I am looking for an answer. What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't go there at this point. Let's keep this one for our next discussion, okay? I mean it's a very serious debate, and I believe there is the developer acts in his best intentions. He acts on the data he has at his disposal. So it's really hard to say. I wouldn't say it's the developer. But it's not the one sentence answer, at least not for me.
If I may, add,
yeah, Olga, please. Yes.
Yeah, I agree that it's a very complex question, and I think it's important to assess it like case per case or use case per use case, and it's going to be different. And I think it's well, I would say it's twofold. At least for now, some sort of clue that I might offer for discussion is that yes, it depends on the data. So it depends on the data, what we get. If the data is faulty or biased, we get a biased AI, but it also depends on the algorithm. And then again, who is responsible might depend on, the creator of the algorithm, because that's, well, let's say the company, right? So that might be a company that created an algorithm, and the developers inside this company created an algorithm which, let's say, optimizes engagement. And the user of, let's say, a social network isn't aware of basically the mechanisms of manipulation behind,
exactly the transparency black box that we talked, yes.
And it might not even be a black box or not black box, because that's like a different story, right? So most of these algorithms are probably black boxed currently, but even if they weren't, imagine there's a company which creates the algorithm, deploys it, offers the app on the market, and then you're the user, and the objective function of the algorithm and of the company is to optimize your engagement. So the company wants you to spend as much time on the platform as possible. And we see it happening already, right? And we see these problems arising with people addicted to social networks, with people actually experiencing psychological problems, psychiatric issues. We already see these effects. So in some cases, and again, like Ondřej had this point, like about ex post and ex ante approaches. So in some cases, like we are already maybe kind of ex post in an ex post situation, because they already see some of the effects. And then also to add, to the basket of perspectives about the responsibilities, back to responsibility. So I guess in case of this user engagement optimization and misuse, let's say, of user attention, which might lead to actually like harm for humans, then in this case, I think this is clear that the one who actually put it on the market, and maybe not the one who developed it, but the one who put it into specific use, should take the responsibility. I think, like, at least from my personal perspective, that's pretty clear, if I'm not missing something. But then there could be cases where and this is, we all talk about AI is learning from data, AI is learning. So the future of AI is that you have an AI that you can train and teach, and it learns. And in our bubble, of general AI research, AGI, we're used to thinking of AI that is actually, growing as a baby, like acquiring human values as it grows, as it develops, right? So, and then again, it depends on what kind of values we put into it, what kind of things we teach it, what kind of priors we put into it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, let's say you start with some AI, which in the hands of a good actor might develop into something beneficial, and in terms of a bad actor, it might develop into something very harmful. As a tool, you can use it. You can use fire to cook food. You can use fire to burn a house. And that's not on the fire.
Exactly.
That's exactly where the blame, obviously goes to the.
I don't know, Mark. Maybe you have some comments on that as well.
Yes, I have a few actually. First of all, very good points from both Andre and Olga about the liability issues, and well, who will we blame on the problems which AI will create in the future, and is already creating. Well, on the EU level, there is almost for 2 years there is an ongoing discussion about the renewal of liability directive, product liability directive, which I think stands the same since 1986, I think, something like that. It's a very old document, but it's quite universal and didn't need updating until now. And well, the logic of discussion and how the European Commission, at least I understood how they see the solution, is to actually don't change the legislation that much, but to use the same insurance regress model as it is used actually in anywhere else now. Basically, it's absolutely what Olga said. Every single case in regards to something happened with AI will be deconstructed, and the insurance experts or whoever else will then analyze and look for what specifically went wrong and caused some harm to a human or to something valuable or etc. So then you can backtrack who was responsible, and then you can take certain action. But I would also like to go back to what actually motivated probably what it's my philosophical the ideas, what might motivate the German decision not to use precondition programming on AI. First of all, probably it is impossible to make preconditions for all the possible cases. I mean, we don't know what can happen, and at one point it might be 2 grandmothers and 1 child who might grow up a very bad person. How can you measure that? You cannot, basically. So another point is when you have preconditioned programming, you have a chance to abuse it. I mean, if we have knowledge that a car will, in a certain situation, act in a certain way, we can pre-construct that situation and misuse the programming, and that would lead to a plethora of other problems in our society. But in the end, I think, as a summary of all this philosophy here, I do believe that yes, we have huge challenges with data, with bad data, and with misogyny in data, and etc. But at some point, we have to understand that data sometimes also reflects our reality, and it is us who has faults. It is us who still have 100+ years to reach to eliminate the pay gap between the genders and so on. And until we eliminate all those problems, I'm not sure we are able to speak about the general artificial intelligence, which would be value-based and would be governed by only the good values which we have as a humans,
yes.
because we still have a lot of bad things among us. And
Yes.
for that, there is, what will the superintelligence or the general artificial intelligence look like, and how it will act? There is a very good book, Nick Bostrom's Superintelligence, which I recommend everyone to read, and it's at points ridiculously funny, actually, but it opens your mind that we don't have actually a clue how it will look like, and we have no idea what we will have to do with it at that moment when it will happen. For a fact, we won't have it soon.
So, and then you kind of bridge it to my last question, because we have about 7-8 minutes to wrap it up. So what are the anticipation of developers, professors, academia, from the agencies, from really private sector, that will happen in a short term, maybe in like 5 years, and then where to expect the actual big time development? Again, let's start here with Mr. Duchoň.
I would like add just one comment to the previous discussion, that not only insurance companies will be playing the game in the cases when, but also lawyers will play the game when something bad happens. So that's another maybe a good topic for the discussion, but not this time. So what are our visions in the technologies of AI and robotics? I think I can say that just from the point of view of robotics, that robots will come almost everywhere. You can see it like vacuum cleaners, you can see it in every factory. We are now working, for example, one of my teams are working on autonomous drones and the capabilities to be used in urban city areas. Israel is also making the deliveries around their cities, so it's coming. You will use it in agriculture. Germany is very good in agriculture robotics. You will use it in any type of the activities that human can do. You can see it in the space on the Mars last days. You can see it almost everywhere. So it will come. A lot of new technologies will arise. But we must be careful. It's on, as I am saying it all the day, we must be careful. We are the users, we are the developers, and we are the responsible guys.
So being responsible, that's the key message. Olga?
So some sort of final remarks from me, right? Well, I would say from my perspective, like Goodai's perspective, it would be fantastic if more people join what we hope to have started this community effort, to develop advanced algorithms. And, we try to make it as inclusive as possible. So, whoever's interested, they can take a look at goodai.com. And there we have like specific research topics we're interested in. And some are quite fine-grained. So it's not really broad, if you want to do AGI, but we have certain like technological roadmap that we kind of outlined. But still, like not all the people who are joining the effort are thinking of themselves like, oh yeah, we're developing general AI. Maybe some of the people who are applying are just developing some part, which is, we believe is crucial in the long run, and they eventually, but it doesn't mean that you have to be an AGI believer to receive funding from us and join the effort, right? And then also we would love to see the partners joining also and bringing more financial resources. So for now, we have awarded slightly over $600,000 to these 9 grants altogether. But we can make it many millions together. So, and more people could join. So I guess like this would be the message for me. I would really love to see this sort of mission-driven research getting more attention, getting at the forefront of this, like like a space program in the 60s, like this really, really fantastic endeavor. And it's interesting that now this trend is not led by the governments that as much as by private individuals, but collaboration with the governments and public funds is also key. You can also see it, for example, in Elon Musk's programs. He started as an individual private company, but he also cooperates with NASA. It's essential. So I think this is like global effort that I would like to see growing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and the leveraging that you mentioned. Arunas, your outlook for short term and the long term?
Well, I have no idea what will happen in the long term.
I like this.
Honestly. But in the short term, I think, well, looking in the past, like a few years back, we've jumped from Google BERT to GPT-3 in a few years, and well, the number of parameters increased exponentially. We have neural networks and deep learning, which we didn't have like 5 years ago, 7 years ago. So everything is progressing. I think we will, what I do believe is we will see much more mixed systems. Which was a few times today mentioned that if we have an algorithm which works well with chess, it doesn't necessarily work well with text recognition, for example. So we actually might see that in the nearest future, because mix and match systems start to pop up already, and I think it's the nearest future for that. And well, yeah, image, everything with computer vision and image recognition will be tricky. We already are quite advanced in this area, and with the deepfakes, we've hit some kind of a rock bottom, and we don't have an idea what to do with it next. So we have to figure it out, because, well, and not only deepfakes, but Clearview and other stories which came out into the light in the last year were a bit dark, and so we have a very, very, very big debate on our hands on what can actually we and what should we do with such technologies as humans and to each other. And what I'm looking forward to, I believe we still have the biggest progress in the field of natural language processing, probably all around the world. And it's in terms of already progress which we have, it's the easiest technology maybe, because well, we have good tools to work with that, and now we have a lot of areas where we can apply them. But what I would like to see is more languages involved in that, not only the main 14 ones or the main 2. Depends from the point where you're looking. We have 6,500 languages in the world, and we cater only to 14 of them. So it's a huge market for every NLP developer, and I really encourage them to think about that. And yeah, that's basically it. I think we will be just growing with a kickstart of quantum computing. It will become much less controllable and much faster, but basically the trend is
exponential.
Yeah, the trend is quite clear.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And André Verdus.
Okay, thank you. Well, in the short term, it depends on the regulation which will be in place. That's for sure. There will be more and more quality services and products, as already Professor Duchoň said, that will improve our lives. But at the same time, I would say it will lead a bit to simplification and then reduced independence of humanity, of people. And the approach of companies and states will be very crucial. And I hope we won't get to the ad absurdum when we all get used to the smart fridge, to buying our groceries, and then when it breaks and there won't be a replacement, we won't be able to buy them or know how to. So I hope we won't get to that point. And in the long term, I would say the AI has the potential to improve the quality of education, which already it does. It's doing it today. It recommends educational materials users might be interested in, adapts the difficulty of the test and to the current level of, so you're not frustrated, but rather motivated. And I believe that the AI contributing to higher education of the population is crucial for the future of humanity. And as was said today, AI can help find appropriate solutions to some crisis, and then that humanity is facing or will be facing in the future. But you know, we have to keep in mind that there are still politicians. So AI won't be the one probably deciding. And last sentence from my side, I would say that life quality has never been better. Hopefully we will be able to say this in 20 years again. Our work will become more and more interesting. We might even work less. And of course, there are risks, and we were talking about them today. AI can be used for unethical purposes. And the big challenge and expectation of AI is to learn to detect and block these misuses. So
thank you very much for wrapping it up also instead of me also bringing up the element of education, which we didn't mention so much, but obviously it is absolutely crucial. Thank you to František Duchoň, Olga Afanasieva, Aruna Smark, and Ondřej Ferdus for this extended discussion that we had. We went through what you're doing, what are the trends, challenges, how the regulation will be in place, how it is going to influence humanity and societies, and what can we expect. Thank you once again for logging in, for your contributions. I think it was very interesting. We will have now a short 10 minutes break, and we will get back to you exactly at 5 Central European time with the presentation of František Duchoň, who he will be talking about how the private sector is working together with academia in Slovakia, what are the best practices over here. So you are very greetings once again from Bratislava, back at Taftie expert session. And we will be now continuing with 3 presentations, during which you will also be seeing our scribbler, Silvia Matisova, artist who is finishing the mind mapping from the presentations, from the discussions that we had so far. We will be now connecting with Aruna Smark, who will be sharing with us the best practices from Lithuania. After that, we will have Slavomir Matiaszowski from Takium. He is an AI engineer. And after him, František Duchoň, and presenting innovative solutions from Slovakia. So back to you, Arunas, and your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for having me here. Oh, yeah, I guess everyone sees the screen already. So my presentation will actually be very short. I already touched upon it a bit. First of all, I want to tell you about Lithuania and what's happening AI-wise in Lithuania. So we have over 40, actually around 50 worldwide companies developing world-class AI products and services in Lithuania. Around 80% of them are actually Lithuanian capital. The rest are foreign direct investment companies. We have now reached the stage where we have around 100 early stage AI startups per year, and we are very proud of this number. And who helps? Our 9 scientific institutes and universities which cooperate with business on AI and develop AI algorithms and research on themselves are really valued. We have around a bit over actually 300 artificial intelligence scientists and research in the country of less than 3 million people. And our high-end AI professionals number to more than 1,000, and they also have a surrounding quite large community of more than 3,000 specialists and AI supporters, as we say, who work together on developing AI products, but are not actually ML engineers or something like that. You see a list and the logos of our companies, which some of them you might already know, but I already mentioned a few from here. But to sum up, in Lithuania, startups are quite strong in computer vision, especially in medtech, medical technologies, and then in biometric technologies, biometric recognition, then natural language processing, data classification, big data, and so on. And I think these are the strongest categories in which our companies are doing well. Next slide, please. And well, I already covered it a bit in the previous session, but what we do as a AI Boost Lithuania project under the Agency of Science, Innovation and Technology is, well, we have 3 main missions. First is to promote artificial intelligence, then to teach the society about what it actually is, and it's maybe not so mystically bad as it sounds, and to help to develop it. And for that, we really wanted to become a main partner and sort of a bridge between the ecosystem, between the public sector and the society. And I hope we will be able to hold this role further on, because at least for now we are quite successful in it. And this is why in Lithuania we have quite good relations between all the main stakeholders and mutual understanding. And it is really important in discussing policy, ethics, and other quite complicated questions. And if there is no common ground for that, we go into problems. So what do we do specifically for promotion? We have created an AI Boost podcast, which is becoming very popular. It caters mostly in Lithuanian language for the Lithuanian public society. And we talk about AI in very simple terms for everyone to understand, be able to understand it. And we cooperate with largest media outlets who then reprint or republish our podcasts, and we are very happy that it reaches more and more people every week. Then, of course, all the traditional media and social networks and so on, where we are very active and very reach quite a lot of people. Then we organize events, more than 20 events each year, usually. Now, due to COVID situation, so of course everything is online, but it doesn't constrain us from reaching around from 200 to 500 people at every single event. And we also plan to organize one of the largest AI conferences in the North Central Eastern Europe region on the 29th, 30th of September in 2021. And everyone is welcome to join because it will probably be online. We became an official partner of Elements of AI, which is a very beautiful thing developed during the Finnish presidency by the Reactor private company and the University of Helsinki. And thanks to European Commission, it was translated into all the languages of European Union. And it is a very good course for everyone to learn the elements and the basics of AI. And we managed to invite over 500,000 Lithuanians to join, and are very proud to have an advanced community. So as I mentioned, we became kind of a AI competence center, even though we are 4 people in our project, but we try to cater to everyone possible and try to tick all the checkboxes that everyone would be happy and involved. And the most important for me personally, because overseeing this area, is our accelerator or our consultations. And we currently consult over 50 AI startups and are helping to produce over 20 working AI prototypes this year. So this is a good number. Looking at the future, we really hope that all the plans with Recovery Fund and the next MFF will come into the light as they should be, and we will have one of the most advanced startup funding systems.
Okay, so Mr. Slavomir Matyaszewski will be speaking now with his presentation. You're in.
Hi everyone, my name is Slavomir Matyaszewski, and I work for the company Taftie in Slovakia as the AI architect. Taftie is a Slovakia-based company co-founded by Dr. Radoslav Danilák, the state-of-the-art prodigy universal processors inventor. Taftie has offices in USA as well as in Slovakia. Next slide. Tactium, with its flagship product, which is Prodigy, the world's first and only universal processor, will unlock the unprecedented performance, power efficiency, and cost advantages to solve the most complex problems in big data analytics, deep learning, and large-scale computing. Prodigy Universal Processor combines the best features of CPUs, GPUs, and TPUs. It can simultaneously handle different types of workloads, in particular traditional data workloads, as well as the AI workloads. This is achieved by combining not just the features, but also introducing various new innovative features into the processor, shrinking the wires, adding support for different low precision data types, even introducing, for example, some new custom data types, which can provide the additional boost to the performance without degrading, for example, the accuracy of the training or inference process. Prodigy can run faster, and it's faster than the Xeon GPU and TPU processor. It's running faster, but it's still 10 times less power. It consumes less power, and it's the third of the cost of the Xeon processor, for example. Next slide. One of the global trends today is the rapid digitalization. Digital transformation simplifies our lives, but it also has the flip side, unsustainable increase of energy consumption. Extensive digitalization requires sufficient cloud capacity, which is provided by data centers. They are the main consumers of the electricity. Our processor, Prodigy, brings unprecedented value, targeting a $50 billion market that is growing at 20% per year. With data centers currently consuming over 3% of the planet's electricity and 33% by year 2030, low power Prodigy is critical for the continued doubling of the worldwide data center capacity every 4 years. Also, it will have a huge impact on the CO2 reduction. Prodigy-powered data centers would reduce CO2 emissions by 660 million tons a year. Next slide. Thousands of Prodigy chips operating in concert would be power efficient enough to simulate the human brain. Universality of the chip will enable using the idle servers in data centers for artificial intelligence and bringing the human brain scale artificial intelligence to mainstream. Currently we have a 300 billion worth of servers, but the 50% of the time, based on the internal studies of the Facebook data centers and Microsoft, are being wasted as we have the heterogeneous architectures and segmentation of the processor architectures. And for example, just less than 5% of the servers have the AI GPUs. Our processor is combining the features and supporting all different types of the workloads, including the AI and the high performance computing workloads. So this will enable massive growth of the AI, which will be enabled by our processor. It will be enabled through data centers, through the cloud, and it will be available to everyone. Next slide. Artificial intelligence is developing rapidly into the most important driver of the GDP. According to the studies, AI will nearly double global growth in next 20 years. The future of warfare, hold on. The future of warfare and national security strategies are linked to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will have worldwide impact on the humanity. Climate change impact assessment, faster drugs and vaccines discovery, genomics, and precision medicine are some examples of AI applications. Next slide, please. Tactium is critical for Slovakia and EU. EU AI is today in the hands of other countries. Relying on other countries who are competitors and potential adversaries is not safe anymore. Now, the top priority for the EU is digital and technological sovereignty, especially in semiconductors industry. Slovakia needs to transition, on the other side, Slovakia needs to transition from the cars and assembly to a knowledge-based economy. EU already currently consumes 30% of the world compute resources, but has only 5% of the world's resources. Tactium offers a unique once-in-a-decade opportunity for Slovakia and to fulfill the European Union critical needs. The objective of the European Union must be to turn the corner for the sake of national security. Tactium dual-use commercial government chip can change the IT economy and help to accomplish that goal. Next slide, please. In 2020, Tactium joined Innovations for Digital Infrastructure, a partnership of innovative EU and global technology leaders to design world's fastest AI supercomputer, which will be operated by the National Supercomputer Center in Slovakia. As you can already see on the slides, the parameters are stunning. The initiative is backed by the non-government organization of international industry leaders. Reference design will be available, demo will be available in this year, 2021. The fully operational supercomputer in early first half of the 2022. And I thank you for your time.
So, hello again. My name is František Duchoň, and I am the current president of National Center of Robotics here in Slovakia. National Center of Robotics is an entity established on Slovak University of Technology, and we are focused on research and development in robotics. Today, I would like to present to you some good practices in National Center of Robotics that we have. So first, I will tell you more about some laboratories with private companies. And at the end of the presentation, I will show you and present to you some successful projects. So let's start with the laboratories. First, I would like to present this laboratory with company Schneider Electric. Schneider Electric laboratory was built with, as it is from the name of the laboratory, with company Schneider Electric. And they are our sponsors. So we are cooperating with Schneider Electric for more than 15 years. They reconstructed this laboratory and equipped it with new devices. So they replaced the former devices in the laboratory. In the laboratory, several PSA, this is a Peugeot Citroën in Trnava. It is a car plant in Trnava, so several experts of that car plant were trained in this laboratory. Thanks to the cooperation with Schneider Electric, STU, Slovak Technical University, has available external consultants for the students. And at the same time, many experts have been trained there. So this is very useful and fruitful cooperation. Regarding this laboratory, completely new laboratory is equipped with state-of-the-art of control systems, and they are used mainly in process automation. In addition to hardware, the laboratory is also equipped with software specially designed for pedagogical purposes. Thanks to this, our students can model virtual 3D visualization of complex production systems for industry in the laboratory, and with that they can test and all the stuff they are designing and proposing on a real control systems. Second laboratory is a laboratory with company Photoneo. I already mentioned that company in the panel discussion. Photoneo is a startup company that already has offices on 3 continents. That company deals with the picking of non-oriented parts of or products using robots, so-called bin picking applications. They use a unique 3D sensors developed by them. Today, you can really find these sensors worldwide in the top scientific institutes, such as Fraunhofer or ETH Zurich. So the laboratory was established in a place near their original headquarters, and they requested some spatial possibilities. So that's why they established it in our National Center of Robotics. And what happened after they established this laboratory? Several students worked on their thesis in nearby laboratories, and many of them finally ended up in Photoneo. So they became their employees. Now we are currently proud that our people are leading software research at this company. And in the picture on the right, you can see the joint research with this company. And it was a joint research for company Volkswagen. In this case, a large robot FANUC was used. The weight of the robot is almost 1,000 kilograms. And therefore, it was placed directly in another laboratory with more space around it. Third laboratory is with company Airvolut. As it stands from the name of the company, it is focused more on UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. Airvolut is a startup founded by my colleagues. They deal with autonomous flight of drones in the indoor environment, as you can see it in the pictures. Their unique results are now beginning to succeed, and they are currently piloting their solutions into the industry. Unfortunately, I can't yet reveal for which companies the solution will be deployed. However, I can say that the solution lies in the autonomous logistics in the warehouse. The drone flies around the entire warehouse relatively quickly and sends the data from the stocks labels that are stored in the warehouse to the superior system. For the human, it takes a long time to make such inspection, especially in a high warehouses where such an autonomous drones can or will fly, and of course, it will solve it easily. The last, but not least, laboratory more focused to the industry is a laboratory with company Matador. Matador is a large or big Slovak brand company that is responsible for about 4,000 of robots worldwide. It is the largest Slovak robotics integrator, so logically we have been cooperating for a long time. Many of our graduates are employees in this company. For example, the CEO of the automation division is our former student. We are currently implementing various projects from mobile agents into the industry up to 100% quality control for output. So we are also using special and precise 3D sensors. There is also a connection between Matador and Photoneo, the laboratory or company that I mentioned 2 slides before. So this is another effect of our laboratories. The companies that are here or there around us also cooperate with each other. So there's another good practice that is rising around us. The last laboratory is not developed yet, but we are starting to build it. The laboratory is with company Panzer Robotics. It is, as I said it before, currently in the development. It is the youngest company that works with us. It was created only recently in the last year, and it is focused on the development of such a robotic walking system, as you can see in the pictures. The robot should perform various tasks according to the customer's needs, for example, from guarding and monitoring to the logistics. The robot is called Altabaran, so you can check it on the web. Now I'm coming to the interesting projects. These projects are also with private companies. So our research is not only to do a research for research, but we would like to produce some useful results. So let's talk about the project in Slovak. It is called IZVAR, and it means intelligent welding, inteligentné zváranie in Slovak language. So the IZVAR project is one of our most successful projects. We are implementing the project in cooperation with company VUES. VUES is a medium company in Levice region. This is something on the south. It is somewhere in the south of Slovakia. This cooperation is excellent on the both sides because not only the topic, but the people that are working in the project. The IZVAR project is focused on welding of small volume and highly variable production. Imagine that the system can weld any products that come to it from some superior system. As you can see in the picture on the left, there are the simulations of the whole robotic cell. In the right, there is one robot of that three. In our laboratories, we were developing some force torque control for the project. We are proud that Fraunhofer, as one of the leading research institutions in Europe, is currently developing very similar ideas. We started implementing our ideas in 2018, and our design uses technologies such as beam picking, force torque control, online laser welding corrections, artificial intelligence to evaluate the quality of the weld, automated ultrasound diagnostics, and robotic engraving. We also plan to deploy such unique technologies as hyperspectral cameras, which will be used to evaluate the material quality of the welds themselves. So this is a very successful project, IZVAR, supported also by our Ministry of Economy. The last project that I would like to present to you is a project Sahara. The Sahara project is our probably most successful project from the global view. Sahara means semi-autonomous hair removal robot assistant. So the whole workplace uses a robot certified to work with humans in a medical environment. And our application consists of the automated removal of hair on the human body. The collaboration on this project was also supported by doctors and designers, and it results in a truly unique project. We registered the project in the worldwide KUKA Innovation Awards. It is a competition. And also, we did not win. We were among the 5 finalists from all over the world. And we decided, we defended it against such world aces of robotics as Professor Katip from Stanford University or Professor Albu Schäfer from German DLR. So I will remember forever for how the Professor Katip praised our application. I will remember it for all my life. And as you can see on the pictures on the left, we are trying to scan the limb, human limb, and we have some nice reconstruction of the skin. You can see it in the picture on the monitor, and on the right we are also able to scan the human torso, and now we protected our results by intellectual property rights, and we are trying to raise the technology level to the market. So thank you for the attention. If you want to see more details about our research, you can check these web pages, and of course, if you have any questions, you can write me an email and I will try to answer it. Thank you again.
And we arrived to the end of today's Taftie expert session that was talking about AI, about robotics, as well as human. Thank you, everybody who stayed with us for a whole afternoon. I would like to also thank you to Silvia Matisova, who is mapping our minds whole sessions today, all the sessions today. We will be sharing this with you via email. Please feel free to log into Taftie 21 web page, also the same page that you registered at. You will find more information about what are the plans and what are the ideas, what are all the activities that Slovak Innovation and Energy Agency is doing, chairing Taftie this year. Thank you all to all our panelists, to people that talked today, to Azim Azar, who talked about exponential age that we are coming in, to 4 panelists and the interesting contributions that they had today, that they made today regarding AI challenges of practitioners. We discussed topics of how the innovation agencies can be useful, what are their challenges, where we are going further. Also, we had 3 interesting presentations directly sharing with you innovation solutions as well as best practices from Lithuania, Slovakia, and partially US. And from me, just to say thank you for logging in, being with us. As I said, all the information will be available on the webpage. Have a good afternoon and see you at the next session of Taftie. Have a good day.